It takes a village to produce an event. It's my team. It's our team at Planet
But you, the leader, is the one that sets the tone, right? So when you
You're right.
set a good example, you can't help but have a great team.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
a great event.
That's exactly it.
Right. Hello there, this is Cindy Chase from Coffee Connections Podcast. This week we have a special guest, and her name is Rowena Quee from Planet Sound here in Edmonton, Alberta. Planet Sound is not your typical marketing agency, and as we chat with Rowena, we will find out why. As usual, we'll be speaking with Darlene Petrie from Scam Prevention International. We'll learn how to avoid being scammed and how to identify whether you are actually being scammed or whether it really is your Bell Mobility representative calling to give you a great deal. And here is an update on my son Ryan, who was in an accident just over a month ago. He was riding an e-bike straight into a pickup truck. He was going 30 and the pickup truck was going 50. So you do the math. And anyway, his spinal cord was severed. He is now out of the hospital. He's in a rehabilitation center, and he is loving life. My husband Bill and I were there to see him on Saturday afternoon, and we actually played pool with him, and he's doing so well. He is so happy to be alive, and I am so happy to still have my son, and in fact to have my son back. It's like it took Ryan getting paralyzed to start walking with the Lord again, and who can know what the Lord will bring into your life? So we just trust and obey. Welcome to this week's Coffee Connections podcast, where we have Darlene Petrie from Scam Prevention International update us on some recent scams.
This one actually saddens me because it is a local true story. It happened in my city, and I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
I got scammed the same way for Rogers MasterCard. They spoofed the Rogers call center number, which was saved on my phone, so I didn't doubt at the beginning, but later I realized I got scammed. Got over 18,000 charges from retails in the Middle East. Anyway, Rogers refunded me the full amount. Lesson learned: whenever they get such calls, and if you feel it's genuine, then hang up and call the call center number yourself. So this person had $18,000 worth of charges on retail cards. That was
Okay, so let's call him Bob.
Okay, let's call him Bob.
So Bob gets this phone call.
Yep.
And it's from like a 1-800 number or a call center usually?
It's from a number that he had in his phone listed as Rogers MasterCard.
So he gets this phone call from Rogers MasterCard, and they told him what? So what did they say?
So he thought it was from them. The person didn't really say what they were calling about.
Okay.
But they were, other than they were verifying information.
So he gave the information?
He gave some information. Some information they had, other information he had to give.
The missing information that they didn't have.
Yeah.
Like, what's your PIN number?
They wouldn't give a PIN number, no. Usually just your general information, your name, your address, your phone number. And I know sometimes when we get these calls, they'll say, can you confirm your address?
Right.
Or can you confirm your phone number, or
right.
Can you confirm your full name?
So should the party that calls, should they be saying what the address is, and then you say yes or no? You don't actually tell them the address, right? We shouldn't be telling them our information. We should listen and say, yes, that's correct.
If we're getting a call from somebody that's confirming anything, we should hang up. And then we should call them. There's different types of spoofing. This particular one is called caller ID spoofing.
Caller ID, okay.
Where the scammer makes a call that appears to originate from a trusted number, such as in this case, it was a number that he actually had on his phone.
And used before, obviously.
So when he phones Rogers, that's the number he phones. It's used to extract a person's personal information or, some kind of other phishing information that they're looking for. How it works is it involves manipulating the caller ID information that appears on your phone. How it generally happens is the caller, so the scammer, uses VoIP, the voice over internet protocol, the services that allow them to alter any outgoing number that they have. And then they have a specialized software, and it enables them to make modifications to the caller ID. Now, the scammer often pretends to be someone else, which they are, and it's usually a reputable organization, such as in this case, Rogers, your bank, government, tech support, so it could be a number of things that they're calling. And their aim is to get your personal information, make you, give you either their financial details or maybe even scare you into making a payment. Like they're going to cut off your services if you don't make that payment right now.
I guess they would probably feel you out as the conversation goes along to see how much they can intimidate us and see how susceptible we are to fall for their lies, right?
Yes, yeah. And often when they're on the calls, they always put in that sense of urgency so that people really aren't thinking clearly.
Right.
They're calling to verify your information because you've had some illegal activities happening or some suspicious activities that are happening on your credit card. And, we just want to verify that this is who you are. So, like they can definitely be tricked into transferring money to a fraudster's account or give details. Definitely, that they're after identity theft, for your personal information. And often it's an emotional distress, usually, calling with these types of calls. If you receive an unsolicited call asking for information, hang up and call back the number you trust, but wait 10 minutes before you make that call. Because if you hang up and you pick the call up again, like whether it's your cell phone or a landline, oftentimes the scammer has not hung up and hasn't disconnected the line. And so they will still be on the line, but they will continue on the conversation as if they're quick. Like, they definitely pretend to be the call center. Don't rely solely on the caller ID for verification. Use call blocking and caller ID apps.
Do you have recommendations for those apps? Caller, do you have a favorite?
I use my own, like who I have for my service provider. I always ask them. I also put myself on the do not call list.
Does that do not call list actually work? Because I've put myself on there. Does it actually work?
Yeah, it does. The disadvantage to the do not call list is if you if your doctor's office calls you, you won't get the call. If it's number that you have listed in your phone.
It will go through if the number's listed in your phone?
It will go through, yeah. And again, I think it's very important to report any suspected spoofing to your phone carrier and to the FCC. One of the things also in regards to spoofing is never say yes. Hi, is this Cindy?
Right.
Yeah, never say yes.
They can use that for something else, right?
Yeah, they can use it for purchasing. They can use it for getting a phone in your name, for getting a bank account in your name. They can use it for so many things.
Can I empty your bank account? Yes.
That's exactly what they're asking.
Well, thank you, Darlene. Obviously, educating the public is so important.
Thank you. Share this information far and wide.
We will talk to you next week, Darlene.
Bye.
Good morning and welcome to the Coffee Connections podcast. This week our special guest is Rowena Cui from Planet Sound. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Sydney. Thank you for
you.
having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, Rowena, can you tell us how you started in this line of work?
Oh my gosh. So Planet Sound, we are a production house.
Okay.
We've been around for 15 years. So I would say almost 20 years we've been doing this work.
Wow.
Yes, I know.
You don't look old.
Oh, you know,
Man.
I credit my mother and my grandmother.
Good genes,
yeah,
eh?
genes
Good
and
genes.
all that really delicious, sweet and greasy Filipino food. I don't know. I'm not sure. But we live well. We live
Yes.
well, we eat well. But
15 years.
yeah,
Wow.
15 years. And so we specialize in audio brands. So we started off, so that's where the sound comes in our name. We started off doing commercials,
Okay.
voiceover work. And then we work into when social media exploded and YouTube, started going into the video branding,
Right.
producing commercials for TV, radio, online, music videos, and then event production.
Quick question.
Yes.
So when you started, was it radio and television? You said audio, so and jingles and stuff?
Yes, we were doing radio jingles. So yes, and I remember
Were you writing the jingles as
we
well?
were.
Wow.
Yeah, we were writing, and mostly my husband. He's a writer, excellent lyricist. And then we were, because we were small starting out, you know, our studio, we were working from home.
Of course.
And so he was the predominant male voice.
Yeah.
And then I was the female.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, and that's where we started. We did. We had a lot of fun.
Wow.
We're very, very blessed.
Wow.
So that's where the sound comes in our
What a
name.
journey, and you did that all together.
Yeah, we've done it
Wow.
together. So it's been, I think that's,
Wow.
we don't get asked that as much as we did in our early years when we were together.
Yeah.
But being in a relationship and then going through marriage, and you're growing up as humans, as people, at the same time,
Exactly.
and then growing a business.
Yes. Wow.
I feel like we're very lucky that we've made it. We're
Yes.
still doing it. Hasn't been without challenge.
Of course.
Because you evolve as business owners, you evolve as people, as individuals,
Yeah.
and you evolve as a couple, and then throw some kids in the mix.
Yeah.
So it's there's
Wow.
a lot of goodness, a lot of fullness that comes with that, and a lot
Wow.
of grace that comes with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. You everything that you have gone through and grown and expanded your horizons and your relationships, you must really know each other like inside and out. I just got married in December.
Oh,
so-
congratulations!
Oh, thank you.
Cindy.
So I'm a newlywed, and
yes. Those are the best.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you know, this is off topic, but
that's okay.
I'm finally in that space where I know I can trust him and show him anything and tell him anything, and so I can just imagine, you know, how strong you guys are.
Yeah. And I think, and it's so important, like when I talk, I mentor about 3 to 4 emerging event professionals every year.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of crossover, right? Like integrity of character is so important to me. It's what we try to instill in our children.
Yep.
And when you look at yourself as a business owner, a leader, and also in a relationship as a couple, as a married couple, safety and trust is so important. You know, you build safety and trust. That has to be the foundation of any great working client relationship. The people that you work with, but also your relationship.
Right.
And so having those checks and balances in your marriage, you know, outside of work, your family, your home life, and also in your work life, those two go hand in hand. And that's one of the things I think was, I guess, a mistake or a naivety when my husband and I started building our businesses. I wanted to keep things separate. And I think that comes from my social services background. I worked with Child and Family Services had a 20-year career.
What type of things do you mean?
Boundaries like
Like bank accounts separate?
No, just work is at work, right? Trying not to bring work home.
Oh, well,
right?
when you work from home, that's kind of hard.
It is, and just trying to say when I close the door,
Oh, yeah.
like that's it. And then also
6 o'clock.
yes, trying to make it work in those early days and not mixing friends and business. Right. And I think it was a very, when I look at some of my earlier mentors, a more traditional conservative way of doing business, because now
Your
doesn't
brand.
matter. Your brand, it's about value alignment now. So whether that's blood or not, if there's a strong value alignment, that's where that secret sauce, that magic happens. Right. And so I learned that a lot from my husband, from RJ actually. It's like, it's okay.
Right.
Like if it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. And we're like, oh no, but what if it doesn't work out? Like that's our friend. And he's like, but you tried. I always say my husband is my greatest teacher. Yeah.
Wow. Talking about relationships, have you in the beginning had family members or close friends that did not support you? Did you have anybody like that in your life?
It's the irony of that is it's the people that are closest to you the most and that you love, especially your parents. And now that I'm a parent, I get it. You just want your kids to be safe. You want them, and because you were their safety net for so long, right? And to see them just take a leap and leave their 9 to 5, leave those benefits, leave that paycheck that gets direct deposited every 2 weeks. It was fear, and it was fear. But beneath that was love. Our parents just really loved us. And my mom was a single mom. She raised us 3 girls primarily on her own since I was 12, and I have 2 younger sisters onward. So I really, that really was shaky. And it was like, no, like, Rowena, you got to do this. You got to give Planet Sound a shot. You owe this to one another. And we believed in it. And it's like, at least at the end of the day, we tried. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. We could always get another job. And if it does work out, then great. We made a really good decision. Yeah.
And after you succeed, that's when everybody, I knew you would do
yes, they did. And I think your parents do believe that in their heart of hearts, but don't want to say it out loud because, and again, now that I'm a parent, you're prepared. You're prepared to support. You're prepared to say, okay, if this doesn't go well for Rowena and RJ, we'll help them out. What do we need to do? I think you automatically go into this protective mode, right? Yeah. And that's how I see it. Yeah. And because for me, words, when people say things, I always think of, because we heard it all. There were actually some, at the time, there were some really big ad agencies who had bets on how long we would last.
Seriously?
Yeah, I remember that. And it's just, when I think of my upbringing, that grit and that hustle that our parents instilled in my sisters and I, that's what got me through those tough words and got me through some of the harsh criticisms out there. And, and really, as you get older, wisdom comes with that. When people say not so nice things to you, or they say they can't wait till you fail, or they had bets on how long Planet Sound would last, it really has nothing to do with us and everything to do with how they're feeling or what negativity or what not so great stuff they're holding within themselves that they're projecting.
Exactly.
But no, definitely existed.
Yes.
And then I think once our parents, and our dear friends, and again, they're just looking out for us. Yes. Once things started, they're like, okay, I think they're going to be okay. I think this Planet Sound thing may work out.
Nice.
We're going to back off a little bit. Right. And I think our parents are pretty proud, and
that's awesome.
We're pretty lucky to have them on our side.
Well, hopefully they'll be watching this.
Oh, they will. Oh, they will. Especially, I think of my mother-in-law. My mom is great. She is the best cheerleader. She is that quiet strength that every woman needs in a mother.
Nice.
And my mother-in-law, what I love about her is she's the one who shows up. She's like, I'm going to come on, in our early days, she'd come to every show, every event. She'd be in the front row. She'd come on set. Wow. And it was awesome. My mom's more of an introvert, so that just wasn't her thing. But with my mother-in-law, she'd be there. So she'd be like the in-person, cheering us on, cheerleader. And my mother would be that quiet strength. She'd be that voice in our heads and our ears. And you could always feel her presence. Yeah. So kudos to our moms.
What a great support system you have.
We're very blessed. Nice. Very blessed.
Nice. So tell me about the products and services that you guys provide.
You bet. So we started, I remember when we started out, when you're young and you want to do everything, you don't want to say no.
Right.
And, for me personally, I always had this people pleaser concept, and it was hard for me to turn away any job. And so we had this opportunity when we were doing primarily events and doing, TV, radio commercials. We had opportunities to do marketing and do a little bit of PR. And, oh my gosh, I want to get into social media and web development. And so we dabbled a little bit in all of that.
Yep.
And then it kept coming back to, then it started to feel like work, Cindy. And we're like, okay, because every day, I ask myself, these questions, am I still having fun? Sounds really basic and silly, but it's important. Am I still having fun?
Yes.
Did I teach someone something new today? Did I learn something new today? And if I answer with even with the least amount of hesitance in answering those 3 questions, I work twice as hard the next day. And so as we were going through this and we're getting to all these things, you started that overwhelmness. It's like, okay, and you start to question your purpose and our value. And so that's where we've always come back with Planet Sound to those 3 areas: audio production, video production, and special events. And that's my forte, is the events part. And then given what's been happening with podcasts and the power of storytelling, we also started offering that within the last couple of years, of providing a turnkey solution, plug and play, to support people tell their own stories, and to create a space that is accessible, affordable. We're located in the downtown core here in Edmonton, to be able to plug and play and do their podcasts.
Nice.
And it's all about creating those opportunities for other people, right? Like when we started out, no one knows who you are. You're knocking on doors, you're cold calling, and it just takes, after, what is the average? 20, 25 objections until you get one yes. And when you do get that, it is. And it can be really disheartening.
Yes.
And so, and I realize that when people say, I'm like, you can be an entrepreneur. They're like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? It really isn't for everybody. Just like me going back to a 9-to-5 day job, I don't know if I could do that again. But that's okay. We all find the place where we shine and where our strengths will be elevated, and where we can master and refine those, our talents and our gifts. Right. But so we've stuck to those areas, and we'll continue to do so.
Nice. What does success mean to you?
Oh gosh, this is such a good question. I would say, I remember doing actually I was having a conversation with one of my mentees, and this ties into success. It was, when do you know that, like, how did you know you've made it? Like, when did you know that, okay, I've reached my North Star. This is it. I am a success at what I do. And what I think success is, and what I believe, and what I hope people can take away and reflect about, is when you make a mistake.
Right.
So it is inevitable. Being human beings, doesn't matter what job, career, doesn't matter how great you are at something, you're going to drop the ball. Mistakes are going to happen. We're human. It's inevitable. But the difference is, when you do make a mistake, and it's one of those mistakes, and I can speak specifically to events, so it has something to do with production and or budget impact, and maybe I have to go back and ask for more budget or whatever the case is, and have to go to the client and let them know what happened. Their response is, what can I do to help you? What can I do to support you? Let's collaborate on a solution together, and we'll figure it out.
Well,
that's when you know you've made it. That's when you know you've hit success. You have built that profound trust and confidence that, you know what, it's all good. Like, Rowana's still great at what she does and what she delivers as a product for a company or organization. Things happen. And we're going to work through it. So that's when you know.
It shows that your clients have confidence in you, they trust you, they respect you.
And it says a lot.
Yeah,
it's the best feeling. And like any relationship, right? Like in an intimate relationship, even with your friends, you gotta, that is the basic, having that trust and having that confidence that I got you. I got you. And it's, I remember this being as a kid, and it's when I would get in trouble. Mom, and your parents would just give you that look, right? They just give you that look. But now I've turned that into a positive, when your clients give you the look of like, job well done, right? Or a look of, it's okay, right? And for you to be able to reciprocate that and say, you know what, I got you, it's okay, that's success,
right?
I think that's one of the greatest. That's the fun part you know, for me and anyone who's an event professional,
Right.
is you have to be curious. You know, when anytime I plan an event, I build in contingency after contingency
Right.
after contingency. I also build in a 21-day, you know, I have this 21-day rule that
Okay.
when we create what we call a critical path, so it's the work back plan that outlines all the deadlines, the tasks, who's responsible by what date, what time,
Mhm.
when's it going to be delivered, all those details.
Mhm.
I always build in at least 3 weeks, knowing that there will be delays that
Right.
may be out of my, within my, or the client's
Right.
control. Anytime you're bringing together a group of humans,
Mhm.
you cannot, at least I have yet to experience,
Yeah.
anticipate everything.
Yeah.
You do the best that you can to anticipate as much as you can.
Wow.
And that comes with making mistakes. And
Wow.
that comes with having to have really hard conversations with your client.
Right.
But every mistake that I have made, if I've had to go back to, you know, with budget, or just say, shoot, you know, that artist, their plane is delayed, we're going to have to
Right.
reimagine. And these are the other entertainment acts that I can bring on last minute.
Wow.
Having to present those, always come with a solution.
Yes.
Always come with a minimum of 2 to 3 solutions to
Right.
present.
Right.
Own it.
Right.
Take accountability.
Right. And
Yeah.
the roadblocks and stumbling blocks that come across your path, that is an opportunity for you to grow and
Yes.
stretch and come up with solutions.
Oh, and to be humble.
Mhm.
I think that's the big
And
too.
honest.
Yes. Yeah. Own it. Be honest.
Mhm. And transparent.
Transparent. And to take it with grace as well.
Yes.
Yes. Take your wins.
Yes.
Celebrate those
Right.
and also the small wins that lead up to those as well.
Mhm.
But knowing that
Mhm.
it's not going to last forever.
Right.
Right. And when you do drop the ball, or where you do
Mhm.
make a mistake,
Right.
or experience what you define as a failure,
Mhm.
that growth that you speak of, there's
Right.
a space there
Right.
that is magic,
Right.
right? Where we stretch and we grow,
Yeah.
we take accountability, and then we say, okay, what did I learn?
Right.
And what am I going to do to avoid this happening again?
Right.
Because if it happens again, then that's a
problem.
that's a pattern of behavior.
Right.
That's a different story,
Right.
right?
Yeah. One thing that came to mind when you were talking about, you know, when you're planning an event, herding cats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can only plan so much, and then everybody else has a free will, and they'll RSVP when they want to, or you know what I mean, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's building that resilience and that flexibility within your team.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned over the years is you really need to have strong value alignment. And one of the things that I've been able to verbally articulate when I'm bringing someone on new to our Planet team,
Mhm.
whether that's an event professional, you know, who's going to help with our production of events, whether they're set up takedown, whether they're a vendor, supplier, is this mindset of being all in.
Yes.
You got to be all in.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, we know that we can control if people, it doesn't matter what we do, there's always going to be those folks who won't RSVP. There's always going to be those folks who won't give us their dietary allergy restrictions, even though we don't want you to die. That's why we need it. We want to make sure.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's knowing that you plan for it.
Yes.
You build it in.
Right.
So that all starts from the beginning.
Mhm.
So when you're sitting down and having that initial discovery with any of our event clients, that is already built into the budget. It's already built into the plan.
Mhm.
We know these things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there's going to be other things that may be out of our control, but because we've done all these things, we will have the capacity, the resources, the know-how to take care of those as well.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm.
What have you learned in these last 15 years that you would like to pass on some advice to somebody that is following in your footsteps in the same type of industry?
So I think 2 things. Okay. When you're hopefully you usually have one point person when you're an event producer and planning an event. There's usually one point person. Perhaps there's a committee that you have to also check in, meet on a regular basis. There's usually whoever's in control of the money, the those purse strings, those wallets. There's also some accountability, some relationship piece there.
Yes.
But whoever your point person is, and this isn't a bad thing, There's always three people every time you're having a one-to-one decision-making conversation regarding an event.
Okay.
There's you,
Yes.
and then there's that person.
Yes.
And a lot of it is, if it comes to the overall creative production. So kind of like the big pieces of an event.
Okay.
The budget.
Mhm.
If we need more or less, what are we serving for food?
Right.
The venue, those kinds of pieces.
Mhm.
There's always you and that person, and there's always the ego.
Okay.
So there's always three
Whose
things.
ego?
Both of yours.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll just say it as one.
Okay.
And the reason I bring
Right.
that up
Right.
is because, and this ties into my second piece, if you want to, and this is what I feel separates a good event professional from a great event professional, is you understand the psychology of events. You understand human behavior. And the reason I bring up the ego is because when you're putting something out there, we use events as a platform to tell a story, to drive your organization, your business's mission goals forward.
Right.
We're celebrating a major milestone. That could be a wedding, it could be an anniversary, a birthday, something. It's personal, right? And so it's hard to not have sometimes your ego or that other side come in and help. They contribute to the conversation.
Right.
So it's understanding. So going back to what we talked earlier about building trust and safety,
Yes.
when you understand what motivates people, what their needs, interests, and values are, you can manage those other things. So that's what I share. When I mentor people coming to events, you have to really understand people.
Yes.
Understand yourself first.
Yes.
How do you manage pressure? How do you manage objections from your client?
Right.
How do you multitask? And what really are your strengths that you bring to the table?
Right.
And then you naturally will mirror and take on projects that complement you and complement your team. And naturally happens when you're really in tune to that and really understand the psychology that needs to be applied when you're producing an event.
Right. You talked about ego, and I said, whose ego? Well, if you as an event planner are going in there with an ego, that means you're not receptive and understanding what they're trying to do, because you've already got a plan.
That's
It's like going into a hairstylist and they've already decided what they're going to do, and like you walk out disappointed.
That's
right?
exactly it.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes that's hard, right? Because we're creatives as well. We also, we chose this line of work like any other person chooses a line of work, because you also want to put your brand out there. You want to put yourself out there.
Right.
Now there will be cases where you'll have those clients who will say, Rowena, this is what I want, just make it happen.
Right. Yes.
Right? That happens. And that's fun. That works too.
Yeah.
But most of them,
Right.
they have a pretty clear idea as to how they want their event vision to come to life, to be executed. And you are you're the vessel to do that. Right. So there's also a great responsibility for us to bring that level of awareness of, okay, I got to leave my ego and my stuff at the door. And I actually am a very visual person. So there are times, my husband watched me. It was during COVID, and he got to see, because we're working from home, and he's seeing me bounce from meeting to meeting to meeting. And sometimes I would be in meetings straight for 12 to 14 hours.
Wow.
Going from event to event. And then in between, I'd have to pause, close my eyes, take a breath, and I would physically see myself change out things, and then move on to the next one.
Wow.
Could really be present.
Wow.
Because it's so easy to carry over.
Yes. Baggage.
Exactly. Baggage, and carry over those ideas, thoughts that need to be contained and respected with that specific event and client.
Exactly.
You got to leave that there.
Yeah.
So I would actually physically see myself opening my closet.
Oh, wow.
Changing outfit.
Wow.
And I would, for some reason, it's a Tiffany box. I don't know what it says, and my heart would be in there.
Oh.
And so I would change out my heart depending for every meeting.
Wow.
So I'm coming in fresh.
Yes.
And really there as an open book for them.
Well, and that's only fair to your clients as well, to have all of your attention and a brand new clean slate.
Yes, right. And I think that was actually one, thank you for bringing that up. That was one of, because also as an entrepreneur, there are some hard, low days, right?
Yes.
And it happens, any job, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, and I was reflecting, I'm like, okay, you know, you're giving yourself a pep talk. It's like, it's okay. It's the end of the world. You'll get through this.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the greatest compliments I received from a client is, I know how busy you are. I see it. I hear it.
Yeah.
But when you're with us, no one else exists.
Wow.
Nothing else matters.
Wow.
And we feel like we have your full attention.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I'm doing something right?
Yes,
sometimes you just need to hear that. You think you're doing a good job.
Yes.
And sometimes you need to hear it.
Yeah.
Not all the time, you know, but you know, it's especially when you have, you know, like I said, you know, there are hard days and really great days as an entrepreneur and the work that you do. Yeah. And sometimes you just need that pick me up.
Yeah, open up your Tiffany box, and then there's that reminder that you're doing an awesome job.
Yeah, right. Nice. And it's not just me. It takes a village to produce an event. Right. It's my team. Right. It's our team.
But you, the leader, is the one that sets the tone, right? Mm-hmm. So when you set a good example, you can't help but have a great team.
Yeah, that's right.
And a great event.
That's exactly it.
Right.
Right. That's what's going to translate. Yeah. Right. When people are feeling good and everyone's aligned, and like laser focused on what we're trying to achieve with the client. Yeah. There's the event magic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the viewers before we wrap up?
Oh my gosh, just gratitude. I think gratitude to you, Cindy, for creating this platform for us entrepreneurs and business owners, and just the community and bringing us together to share a story. I think that's it's such a privilege. So thank you for the opportunity and for sharing space with me today.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you for the coffee.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. That was Rowena Quee from Planet Sound.
Thank you, everyone. Peace to your day.
Bye now. Are you a puppy dog lover? What about a Yorkie? Are you a Yorkie dog lover? My husband Bill is a Yorkie lover. In fact, he used to breed Yorkies. We went to the 2024 Edmonton York Fest on Saturday, and I thought, you know what? Why don't I interview dog owners and ask them what it means to them having this puppy dog in their life? So if you're a dog lover or you know any dog lovers, especially Yorkies, please share this video so that they can subscribe to this channel so they don't miss that upcoming video in 1 week. Actually, you want to hear a story about the pot-bellied pig that sat on a puppy? Stay tuned. We'll be back. So if you're a first-time viewer of my podcast, there's no real structure. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for that. I hope you've subscribed to my channel, and please do like these videos because that tells YouTube that it's worth showing to more people. And I do want to try and get the word out about, scammers and how anybody and everybody can avoid being scammed. So if you share my video or if you like, then YouTube will share it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It would really help me out. This podcast is brought to you by Master Graphics Marketing and Design. Do you need a logo designed? Do you need some marketing material for a new product that you need to get the word out about? Give us a call at 780-240-2267. Ask for me, Cindy. I'll help you. Well, if you are still watching this podcast, I appreciate you sticking around and thank you. This is Cindy Chase from Coffee Connections Podcast, signing out. Bye.